First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. We're live streaming here in the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. I always like to let everybody know that we start at 1 p.m. every weekday. We go throughout the afternoon. We cover a wide range of topics. And today, though, we're talking about getting outdoors and going out on all of those amazing hiking trails that the state of Oregon has to offer, and understanding that it takes a lot of work to maintain those hiking trails, to keep them safe, to get those logs off of there when they fall on them, you know, all the different things that go into it. And sometimes it's kind of easy, and I'm speaking for myself, to take that for granted. Well, there's an organization that is one of others that do this, but certainly this is one of the big ones, Trailkeepers of Oregon, that helps to maintain those trails that we go get to use. And so I had a chance to speak to two of them, Jonah Levine and Matt Ruddy, both from Trailkeepers of Oregon, just about some of the work that they do and how volunteers are really utilized tremendously throughout this as well. So it's an opportunity for anybody really to be involved with them. But let's hear it from themselves. We start off with Jonah just kind of explaining the organization as it is.
For sure, yeah. So Trailkeepers of Oregon, I'll just start off, and then Matt, if you want to follow up with anything else. Our mission is to foster and protect the Oregon hiking experience through stewardship, advocacy, education, and outreach. We do this through two primary programs. Our stewardship program is our bare bones trail maintenance. So we've got volunteer crews out there on trails helping to maintain and build access all across Oregon. And then our other side is our ambassador program, which is our public engagement and education program, kind of having folks, our volunteers, table at trailheads and out in the wilderness as well, educating people about trail safety, leave no trace principles, making it a safe and welcoming space for all. And yeah, we are 900 volunteers strong across the state of Oregon. I believe we're serving trails and communities in 14 different counties in the state. So we are working to grow and serve even more than that. Yeah, small team. We've got about 11 people on staff, but we're pretty spread out across the state. Matt and I are based in Portland, but we've got folks up on Mount Hood. We've got folks in Florence, Oregon, in Gold Beach. We're trying to bring in a North Coast coordinator. So, yeah, we're out there and we're working to help create access.
That is a lot of territory to cover. I mean, with 11 people-ish on staff and 900 volunteers, that's also a whole lot to manage. So when we're talking about that, to give everybody just a little bit of an understanding, when you're talking about trails and maintenance, what are some of the things that you do for maintaining these hiking trails?
Sure, I can jump in. A big portion of our stewardship program involves trail maintenance that requires us to head out to trails that are in need of attention. So someone, especially with weather-related incidents and seasonal changes, trees have an opportunity to fall in any direction they want to, and they usually choose the trail. So if somebody's hiking Wauclella Falls or Lateral Falls or many of the other places beyond the gorge where we are involved in their trails, then we'll often get report backs either from the general public or from the Forest Service that we may have anywhere between 2 to 3 trees down along a trail. There are certain regions where there might be upwards of 15 to 20 trees depending on a heavy season or a heavy weather event. And that is where many of our staff members who are certified sawyers through the U.S. Forest Service and volunteers who are also certified either on crosscut saw or chainsaw operation can go out and plan for a certain number of days or weeks to make sure those trails can be reopened safely. And that involves a lot of bucking of logs and removing deadfall that's come down. On the less extreme end, or I guess the less demanding end for qualifications and certifications, there's a lot of tread repair and just the general upkeep of a trail. So depending on the number of feet or hooves or anything belonging to creatures and humans that use trails, over time, weather, erosion, and just general use can often lead a trail into a condition where it's not as safe to hike and it doesn't have as much sustainability or longevity to it that we'd like. And so learning about the angle and bench and slope and condition of trails that really leads to long-term trail sustainability and user safety are two of the really high priorities in our stewardship program. And that involves a wide range of different tools. It involves walking trails, and if branches have begun to hang low, then we might have loppers and pruning shears with us to basically clean up the corridor of what the trail feels like as people are hiking. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot right there. I mean, and that's just to go into what I was mentioning before, it's just a lot that you guys are covering. And to that extent, I feel like for how many people in the Northwest, love getting out to hike and love, being out in the wilderness and all of that, which is something that I think a lot of us cherish. It is easy to forget all of the work that is necessary to keep those trails so nice and, clean and safe and all of that work. And for you guys, when you're doing this, you mentioned something about the Forest Service. So how does that work for you as far as what trails you go out to? Do you get a call? Are there regular maintenance places that you go to, regular trails that you're like, I know this one's going to need maintenance, we're going to need to go there? Or does the Forest Service get a hold of you, or how does that work?
Sure. I can speak to it a little bit, and then I'll hand it off to Jonah, especially on the development end. What happens with the U.S. Forest Service, with Oregon Parks and Recreation, the Department of Forestry, and also the Department of Fish and Wildlife, is that as volunteer organizations, and there are many others throughout the state, as the general recognition and reputation of trail organizations like ours grows and becomes more well known, then it often means the Forest Service and these other agency partners will reach out to us to say, hey, we have these trails, we have this section of the forest, we have this section of land that we know we could use your help with. And so what that usually involves in terms of liability and safety is making sure everyone's covered either by an agreement with the Forest Service or an arrangement through Oregon Parks and Recreation that we have clearance from them to do that work on this land. And what that can also turn into is a relationship that's called a cost share agreement, and that is where the Forest Service in particular is recognizing that they may not have enough capacity to maintain or repair trails that have basically fallen under what we would call deferred maintenance. If trails have fallen further down their list than what they can get to, then they're able to set up this cost share agreement, which is basically a reimbursement cycle that helps us pay for staff and time and capacity and volunteers to arrange for events where those trails are taken care of.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's really working with a lot of organizations, to really make this happen and to maintain these. Well, you mentioned the ambassadorship program too. So would you mind just going into that just a little bit more? I heard you say crosscuts. If you could maybe give some examples of some different things that people can, volunteer and I guess be an ambassador for.
Absolutely. And Jonah, I still invite you to jump in if you think I'm missing anything, as a lot of this stuff is pretty fresh on my mind.
There's a lot to cover here.
It's a lot, yeah.
Off the top of my head, yeah. Our ambassador program in particular is a really good arrangement for folks who may not have the time, desire, or capacity to haul tools out onto trails and do some of the manual labor that's involved in that. Our ambassador program usually shows up at different trailheads as information stations where people can get a little bit of information to know before they go. So if you encounter a TKO ambassador in the Gorge or on Mount Hood or different places around Portland and throughout the state, you'll often encounter a table of ours with a green tablecloth that has our logo on it. And on that tablecloth is everything from extra bags for people walking their dogs, because our leave no trace principles means you pack it in and pack it out, to a paper copy of the map of the trail you're about to hike, maybe even a quick conversation. For instance, if we see a family of 4 getting ready to hike Ramona Falls, in which a river crossing is required, you have to scoot your butt along a log to get to the falls safely. If that family is wearing like flip-flops or Crocs or not really equipped for the hike, we can say, hey, hopefully there's at least a pair of tennis shoes in the family van that you can go put on, because this is what this hike demands. And so those information stations, by way of our trail ambassadors, often serve to let people know what sort of day they can expect on the trail. And we often do that by having volunteer ambassadors go through a 4-part training program of ours, along with hiking the trails they're going to represent. And that way they're better informed to share those details with people that are going to be hiking. Yeah, Jonah, I'll pass it to you
Yeah,
because I know
actually,
you've seen the operating end of this as well. So.
I would like to. The ambassador program is great, and also it's kind of been expanded just this year into like a paid internship program called the Trail Champions. And so we were able to hire 10 youth ages 18 to 22 to kind of work as these ambassadors and be paid for it as a summer job. These are a lot of local youth from universities nearby, and became part-time staff members for TKO. So it's a great way to kind of continue that like generational interest in expanding the education about trails and how important it is to engage with the public and support these principles. and and then finally, like also belonging is really a core value of what we have at TKO. And having these ambassadors and trail champions at trailheads, really welcoming people in and making sure that they are safe and able to recreate in the way that's appropriate is kind of an important thing of what we offer through this program.
Yeah, I mean, that could be incredibly important. I mean, unfortunately, just being here, for working for the news station, we report on people all the time, every summer, who are unprepared going out into the wilderness and get themselves in some kind of trouble, whatever that may be. So having somebody there to just be like, hey, Crocs maybe not the best idea for where you're going to be going. That's fantastic. More education, the better for everybody. And you also mentioned just kind of that generational interest, that it really is something that's built in here into the Northwest. But I know now you've got something else going on too with the Legacy Builders. Can you tell us about that and what that is and what this means for your organization?
Yeah, so Legacy Builders is our big end of year fundraising campaign. It's an 8-week long campaign, all of November and December. And we basically put out newsletters and social media and have a website built that tells all these amazing stories from the trail, what our volunteers have accomplished this year. We share photos of folks cutting down logs to make sure trails have access. We spotlight some of our staff or key volunteer crew leaders. And additionally, we also, we don't do this alone. We have a lot of partners we work with. We mentioned the Forest Service and some of our land managers, but also we work with other nonprofits too. And we try to highlight those as much as well. And then in addition to our Legacy Builders fundraiser this year, we've also been invited to participate in the Willamette Week Give Guide too. So folks can find us there and learn more about TKO there. And that's another place to sign up to volunteer as well.
I mean, I can only imagine that, yeah, it does, everything costs money. And I can only imagine what it is, for that kind of equipment that you need and to be able to get out there and just to be able to go out and maintain these trails and do what you do, so that everybody else can enjoy them. And I guess to that extent, I wanted to ask you each, what does it mean to you to be able to be one of those people that's a steward of that land and that area, but also working with the public to encourage other people and educate them about how important these hiking trails are?
I mean, Matt, I might turn to you to this is kind of part of our safety preamble that we give at every trail party that we do, is this sense that we're not the first stewards of these lands. We come from a long line. Matt, I don't know if you want to provide any more details about stewardship and the safety principles and everything involved with that.
Sure, I'd be happy to. One of the things that really drew my attention to Trailkeepers of Oregon about three and a half, maybe 4 years ago, was participating in their chainsaw training. And in our safety preamble, we first acknowledge the fact that we are lucky and grateful to be stewards of the land now, but that hasn't always been the case. And usually from location to location, be it the Gorge, Mount Hood, or any of the other regions, we take time to do a little bit of homework on the indigenous tribes that originally inhabited the land, and acknowledge that we do feel glad and grateful to have the opportunity to do it now, but we're not the first. We're just many in a long line of people who have cared for the land. The other thing that really stood out to me about TKO's safety preamble is that we realized that stewarding not just the land, but stewarding people who want to go on hikes and enjoy themselves really means paying attention to not just their physical safety. So you need to have the right gear, of course, but also taking care of our interpersonal safety. And that means, at any given stewardship event, at any given ambassador event, or even just getting out on a hike, we're going to encounter a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds. And I think doing our due diligence to be mindful of those differences and looking to honor diversity and be inclusive of it doesn't mean ignoring it, doesn't mean pretending like it doesn't exist. It does mean acknowledging that we have to take a couple extra steps to try and walk the trail in their shoes or walk the trail in their boots and try to prepare ourselves to make those experiences as inviting as possible. Because volunteer is exactly what it means. People could choose to spend their time anywhere they want to. And when they decide to spend it with TKO, hopefully that's an indicator that they feel welcome, that they feel included, that they feel like they belong, and really want to uphold the values that we all belong outside. The outdoors belong to all of us. And recognizing the fact that Oregon has an imperfect history and recognizing that we still have a long way to go, but we've also made a solid amount of progress. I think being honest in those conversations translates into creating welcoming experiences so that many people feel like they belong and that they can be involved.
That's great. I mean, as you mentioned, it's for all of us. It's for everyone to be able to get out there and enjoy the wilderness that we have, which, thanks to, the work that you do and the other organizations that you mentioned as well, we have trails that we can go out and just go hike on, go get out there in the wilderness. I mean, it's really amazing, the stuff that you do. And I guess, that final thing, anything, to wrap this up, that you think is the most important thing that the public should know about the work you do and just about the hiking and the trails and the wilderness that we have here in the Northwest?
I mean, I think you kind of hit on it a little earlier that I think it's by nature, our work is supposed to be somewhat invisible. And I think people are supposed to feel when they hike on a trail that it just magically popped out of the ground. And, I think the work we do is to a bit try to preserve that feeling of that this is just an access point to this amazing natural space and giving folks that access. So, the work we do is very important, but if it doesn't get noticed, I think folks just remember that the trails don't pop up just out of the ground.
That tree just didn't disappear off the trail by itself. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, for everybody out there who wants to find out more about your organization, participate, donate, whatever it may be, volunteer, what's the best way for them to do that?
Absolutely, yeah. Trailkeepersoforegon.org is our website, and we're also on giveguide.org. You can find us there as well. There's opportunities to donate, volunteer. We have events all the time, and we're always welcoming new folks. So, check us out.
Absolutely. And in support of what Jonah's saying, I will also mention that Trailkeepers of Oregon also runs an information website called OregonHikers.org. So if you're getting out to go on a hike anywhere in Oregon, there's a really good chance visiting OregonHikers.org will give you some of that know before you go information. And there's always a pretty decent chance you'll run into one of our trailhead ambassadors at the trail you're going to hike. And if you do, you can sign up on the spot if you want to become more involved, make a donation. There's a very good chance you get out to the Gorge, Mount Hood, Portland, the Willamette Valley. You'll see us out there. So just talk to us and we can let you know how to get involved.
That's great. Well, Jonah, Matt, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for the work that you do as somebody who enjoys the Oregon wilderness immensely. I appreciate it that I can go in there and it magically popped up, as you mentioned, just this trail created there. I know the hard work that goes in. So thanks, you guys, for that. And thanks for being here on Fox 12 Now.
Thanks so much, Greg. Appreciate it.
All right, so there we go. Really, a longer form interview there, getting to learn a little bit more about how all that works and how those trails really are maintained so nicely. So if you enjoy them, That's part of the hard work that Matt and Jonah and their team and 900 plus volunteers get involved in. This has been Fox 12 Now. As always, I appreciate you joining us. We're live streaming from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. I repeat that a lot because I just want to make sure that you know that we are live here, and it's every weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. We're also here 11 a.m. to noon with Good Day Oregon Plus for our other show. So we've got a lot of things that we cover on here. It's a wide range of topics. Thanks for being here with us. We're getting ready for our 4 p.m. news, and then we'll go throughout the night. At 6 o'clock, I believe 6 o'clock is the start time, we have the Oregon Ducks taking on Minnesota in Eugene. We'll be running that on Fox 12, so that's something you can watch over the air as well. But thank you for being here. I'll go ahead and sign off right now. We'll get ready for our 4 p.m. news. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now. Have a good weekend.